This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. I talk about race a lot on this channel. I talk about white supremacy a lot on this channel. And I don't think I'm more empathetic than your regular average person. Not at all. I don't even think I'm more thoughtful than your regular average person. So this story, well, we're going to talk about the Bryan Cranston clip where he's with Chris Wallace from now CNN, formerly Fox News, and talking about Make America Great Again and the hat of Make America Great Again. Because apparently he was on Bill Maher, dumb shit Bill Maher little podcast, and they got into it about CRT. And Bryan Cranston advocates the teaching of CRT and the injustices that have been visited upon Black Americans since forever on this continent. And one of the elements I want to talk about is how uncomfortable Chris Wallace is. But the other element is just the overarching details and concepts that Bryan Cranston is talking about. One, it's good to see someone of prominence, a prominent white person in America, in the media landscape, come out and talk about this. I guess what order we do this, I don't know. This, by the way, this is how the sausage is made. There's not usually a plan. It's just, let's go. Let's go. So let's play the clip and we'll talk about it on the other side.
You got into a tussle recently with Bill Maher about critical race theory and wokeness. When you look at the political discourse in our country today and the role that media plays in it, what do you think?
It's difficult to try to find truly unbiased reporting, news that really is straight shooters. You know, this conversation I had with Bill, we're talking about critical race theory, and I think it's imperative that it's taught, that we look at our history, much the same, I think, that Germany has looked at their history in involvement in the wars, that they 1 and 2, and embrace it and say, this is where we went wrong. This is how it went wrong. When I see the Make America Great Again, my comment is, do you accept that could possibly be construed as a racist remark? And most people, a lot of people go, how could that be racist? Make America great again? I said, so just ask yourself from an African-American experience, when was it ever great in America for the African-American? When was it great? So if you're making it great again, it's not including them.
To end this on a different note.
A very awkward end to that particular segment. They moved on to, I'm uncomfortable, I'm Chris Wallace. But let's talk about what he's saying there. Listen, I don't think you have to have a superpower of empathy or analysis to recognize that if you're white in this country, you've had it far better than name a black person. If your family is a white family with lineage that goes back any time at all in this country, your family has benefited from a system that was set up by white people to benefit other white people. That's just the way it is. And to ask the question, when was it great for black? Let's not even ask that question. When was it good? Not great, but even good. Certainly, from the time prior to even the United States being an organized country, an independent nation, it wasn't good because of slavery. It wasn't good because slavery from 1776 until 1865 was a thing in our country, a deplorable, disgusting institution of enslaving human beings. Wasn't good then. Then we have the Emancipation Proclamation, and illiterate and poor blacks were then free with no assistance, no help, no land, left to fend for themselves. There was convict leasing. There was sharecropping. There was Jim Crow. There was lynching. There was untold horrors and violence visited upon Black Americans for decades, for generations, for hundreds of years. So when was it good? Not great, just good. Black Americans went and fought valiantly during World War II and were not allowed the same benefits that white veterans were afforded. Couldn't get home loans, couldn't buy a home like a white veteran could. Couldn't tap into the same educational benefits because they're black. They fought for their country, squashed Nazism. Thanks, but no thanks. Oh, you're white? Here you go. So it's not unreasonable to take the position that Bryan Cranston is taking here. It's not unreasonable for anyone of any cognitive ability whatsoever to think critically about this. You know, a lot has been said. Like, I've done videos on reparations and my support of the concept of reparations for descendants of enslaved peoples in this country. I've done videos on white privilege, which is something, both of these topics are something that white conservatives, even white Democrats, some, push back on. I grew up exceedingly poor, a little white trash welfare kid. But because of the systems, as I bite my tongue, the systems in place in the United States, I've been able to use those systems as a trampoline to success, whatever success that I have been able to attain. It's not that same. It's not the same for Black Americans. They have to work twice as hard for half as much. I'm sure that's a saying that I've picked up somewhere. And it's not untrue. And now that conservatives are freaking out about Bryan Cranston saying this, it is just nonsense. It is just fear. What's the saying that when supremacy is the only thing you know, equality feels like oppression or something like that? That white people for so long in this country have been used to, accustomed to white supremacy being the order of the day, the system being set up for them. So when some black folks in America begin to get some equality, it's, whoa, what is happening here? Oh, this is oppression for me. It's gross. The MAGA hat absolutely, without question, is a symbol of white supremacy, just like many other symbols. The OK sign that was co-opted. The going back to the Scott Adams thing, the is it okay to be white, which was a poll question that was asked, which has been turned into a meme by white supremacists. It's okay to be white. They use a little milk emoji in their texts and online posts as a symbol of white supremacy, as an attempt to keep black people in fear, brown people in fear, gay people in fear, marginalized groups in fear of white supremacy. Anyway, this is a conversation that needs to be had. I'm glad Bryan Cranston is taking it on. I'm glad that he didn't shy away or shirk away from this particular question asked by Chris Wallace. I'd love to know what you think. Let's mix it up in the comments. For a few weeks, I've been talking about trying to get myself back up into the algorithm, where I was a few months ago. I don't know what YouTube did, but it's not the same. So if you could like and comment, share this video with your social network, that would be fantastic. If you can just subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Tell someone about the channel. That would be fantastic. It would be supporting the work that I'm doing here that I think is important. And I think you do too. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be here unless it's just a troll, which they're there too. Anyway, you can also call, leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. You can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I'd love to hear from you. You can support my work, become a channel member, or go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. The Patreon page is not just for the podcast, which you also should be subscribed to if you listen to podcasts. It is indeed a good time. Follow me on social media. I'd love to see you there. @Dollemore is my handle. Is it a handle? It's what it is. Anyway, I'll see you next time. I love you guys. Be genuine. Take care of one another.